Hi, it's so nice that you're here to quickly get brainted with me. I'm your host, Laura, and welcome to my Mindful Storytelling podcast.
Hi, and welcome to another Quickly Get Brainted episode with me. Today I'm talking to you from Greece, from beautiful Rhodes. And yes, let's just start in with managing expectations. So, hey there. Have you ever been so sure someone would, for example, show up for you for a project, an event, or just something little, a meeting, a meetup, whatever, and then right before it mattered the most, they didn't? I guess you wouldn't be here if you didn't have that already. Something like that happened to me once. It was a few days or even 2 weeks, maybe, or 3 weeks before my very first and very own vernissage. An evening I had dreamed of and planned and built from scratch. And just that little time before, one person I deeply counted on quit. No talk. Well, no talk in person. No real apology. Just a very short message, even though we were good friends. Or friends, maybe. Maybe, in retro perspective, she was just an acquaintance, question mark. So this silence was just wrapped in a very short message. And I stood there on my own then. So my expectation was not met and my trust was disrupted. So I felt everything: anger, betrayal, disbelief. And you know that strange feeling when you thought someone was a part of your safety net and suddenly you realize they weren't even holding a string. But then something unexpected happened. People who I would never have thought had showed up. People I hadn't even asked for help showed up, and I never would have thought. They brought light, they brought literally music and laughter in. And then suddenly I felt like this big loss turned into something a little bit more beautiful, and definitely into one of the most beautiful evenings in my life. And that night I realized something. Sometimes life doesn't fall apart, just falls into places differently than we imagined. And that's what managing expectations is, I guess. It's just a personal story. So expectations are very, very tricky. And this episode will be the first episode for a lot of others to come, because this is a huge topic and I think we need them to dream and to plan and to move on. But they're also holding us back. But, when they're tightened too much, I think they somehow choke the beauty of surprise. And when do we get surprised the most is when we say, I didn't expect anything. I think this is a toxic trait a little bit of mine, to be completely honest. But I think when we lose expectations completely, life turns very gray. That's not what we want. It's just predictable, safe, but very empty. And I noticed over time that disappointment taught me to expect less in that kind. But I think it's a quiet kind of self-defense. And as I said, it's a little bit toxic because it doesn't mean no expectations, no pain, right? But also excitement, no wonder, no heartbeat before something magical can happen is the end of it. There was psychologist Susan David calls this emotional rigidity, where we protect ourselves so much from being hurt that we stop fully living. I think it goes hand in hand with a lot of things that we consume on social media. We have expectations of ourselves. We are just in that moment to learn about. And then we have this visual aid and this consumption right in our laps and in our hands. It's very accessible to compare yourself with something you see online, and then in that very moment expect something from yourself. That very part that you just try to nurture, like a little bird that's trying to learn to fly. And then you already have this huge expectations. It's just, I think it's not very in relation to anything. realistic sometimes. So it's maybe just expecting something differently. I have the feeling this is a very big key word. And it's not from a place of control, but from a place of trust. And this is exactly what you have to manage. If you compare yourself, for example, with others, also it's an expectation. So trust your life, trust that life, and trust the people in your range. And that still can surprise us even after they've disappointed us. So expectation management again. Well, and just to go back to the key point was back to that night. This event of mine, the vernissage, is something that I see now as proof. When one person walked away, 10 others walked in. Like, we all know that. But after that day, I truly, truly believe that this is really possible. Even without manifesting it, just trusting and building on something that's a community. So I think maybe expectations aren't about predicting outcomes very often, but they're more about staying open to being amazed, of course. And so here's the soft kind of expectation, the kind that doesn't demand but invites you and opens your mind. That doesn't say you owe me, but whispers, I hope this turns into something very beautiful. Because maybe the art of expecting isn't about perfectionism, like I very often tend to be in my life. It's about trust and, of course, love. And trust, like breath, is something we lose and learn again and again. I think this is just one step into that topic. Thank you very much for staying until here. And I hope I did that what you expected me. Cheers to a lot more episodes where we manage expectations and meet expectations. So have a wonderful day wherever you are, or a wonderful night, and hear from you soon. Bye.